is where I'd change for EG. I would just go Kaisa Rell here. I know the Rakan is a priority pick between both teams, but Kaisa Rell both being, I mean, Kaisa's not necessarily a flex pick for mid lane.
You could just go Kaisa Rakan.
But you could go Kaisa Rakan. I just love the fact of Kaisa Rell being the red side strategy that everyone was slamming back in week 4 because it gives you unlimited flexibility in the draft and gives you 2 strong team fighting champions. But the Kaisa, at the very least, they've taken, and that's their pivot.
Yeah, and that is, I think, a good pivot because it does get more follow-up. Flowers and I were trying to talking while we were walking back towards the kitchen just getting a snack. I did feel that Jojo actually hit a lot of charms in that last game. I thought he participated pretty well in the fights. They just didn't have any follow-up damage. So Kaisa gives them something. If you can actually find that initial engage, you can have the follow-up from the Kaisa, potentially that extra damage that you need. But I will say, Sejuani leads me to believe that we might just be getting another melee versus melee top lane pick. And we'll see if Revenge can actually get something done. But it's going to be back to the Taric.
The Taric.
For core. But this is a pretty early Taric, so it's interesting because they don't have to hard commit to like a full-on engage comp. EG could go towards more something like a little bit more poke heavy if they wanted.
So the last time Core played this was in the 100 Thieves series, and we got to talk to him afterwards, like, what was the angle for playing Taric? And he said there was no angle, I just wanted to play it. So a little bit of troll, but I do legitimately think against Sejuani Kaisa, that's hard engage, Taric blocks the hard engage, and Core is good enough that he can lane with it.
And I like the change here, sending Tristana to the bottom lane, locking in the Ziggs for APA, massive amounts of turret damage with this pairing, and it also solves the problem that sometimes your draft can run into if you go for Trist, originally intending her to be mid, and then you don't get Kaisa bottom. You can have too much AD, not enough magical damage, but this solves that problem for TL. Yes, the Jax locked in for EG. Can Revenge pilot it to the same degree of expertise that Summit did?
We'll see. I mean, he has a Sejuani pairing, which is really strong, but now if you're TL, you just ban ADs, like you ban AD champions. I don't think it's gonna be Kaisa mid, so to me, I'm just banning all the AD mid laners that Jojo could play. You're banning out like things like Yeon, things along those lines, and you're just trying to force them into, you know, more heavily magic damage. Of course, you can go AD Kaisa, but I think AD Kaisa is just straight up garbage compared to AP. Like, it's just so much weaker, and it does force you to go for hard engage, which you don't always want to do against Taric. When you can play the AP variant, you can just fish with poke and kind of poke and prod and try to force out ultimates without hard committing, which I think is really, really important. But we'll see where the bans are going to be.
Yeah, the Silas ban is Jojo's sometimes go-to when they have Sejuani, if he wants to try and take over the game. I think that, at least with the Jax, EG is probably willing to pick magic damage, especially if TL's not going to play a huge frontline with this team.
And Jax is so mixed damage, though. Like, it's already, it's a lot of max.
It is a lot. And at that point, Unforgiven just goes AD Kaisa.
I mean, I think it's going to be AD Kaisa, and we're going to get an AP mid for Jojo is what I think is going to happen. But I think it's just, AD Kaisa is just not that good, in my opinion.
Nautilus banned out again. The Ken and Nautilus, remember, these were the bans that we saw last time from EG in the second half as well, wanting to keep that massive team fight tool away from Summit, as well as respecting the fact that the Nautilus could be flexed to jungle, could be played support, but they don't want to deal with it one way or the other. Last ban of the draft for Team Liquid. Will we get one of those AD solo laners? Will it be the Yeon? Yes! That one's banned away from Jojo.
I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, because to me, it's just AP Kaisa is just so much stronger, so banning out the Yeon kind of denies that. I think we're going to get an AP mid from Jojo here on 4 as the answer, and then they'll 5th pick support for counter pick, you know, potentially that. I guess it doesn't really even matter if you think it's contested, because both are shown. So you can do it either way. You know, it just depends what you think is more important for your overall draft, the answer there. So it is going to be Ahri on 4, so they'll go support on 5 and just hopefully try to have some sort of answer to the composition. Obviously, support and mid have both been shown, so it doesn't really matter which
I feel like they're going
go.
Ahri Rakan, and we'll see if Eyla switches it up. With Team Liquid, though, the shape of the team fights is really going to come together here. This team comp would want frontline because they want to be able to stand up in front of turrets and just kill them in 2 seconds. So really curious to see what Summit ends up playing into Jax, actually, more than this Wukong.
I also think Wukong works really, really well with Taric. To me, you know, you just want hard engage. Like, Rell is fine as well, because you have something that allows you to use your ultimate offensively. If you can only use it defensively,
this is just the biggest ego.
It's easier to kind of play around it. And if you just play the other side of the matchup with the worst jungle pairing and win, then Revenge is going to be really just back to tank duty, I think.
If they win this, this is mental boom, total mental domination for Summit.
We'll see if he locks it in.
I think they kind of should.
Okay, Ksante.
Okay.
All right,
That's
Ksante
fine.
and
That would have been the
It's
absolute
frontline.
flex.
That would have been
the absolute, yeah.
That would have been sick, but it will be the Ksante instead. This does provide a bigger, beefier front line, like you were just talking about, saying you want one of those targets that can
That's the
step up there
Ksante copy pasta, because I see 4,700. That's all I need to know.
Okay.
I can read numbers.
At least we've got that. The pasta's ready to go with Ksante locked in. Eyla will pick up the Rakan, so absolutely nothing surprising about the very end of the draft here for the red side for EG. What do we want to see different for EG in game number 2, considering how bad game number 1 ended up going? Is it just make sure you don't fail to get those kills in top lane?
I mean, I don't think you have to get kills in top lane necessarily anymore, because you can just play to outscale in the 1v1. So I think their draft, relieves a lot of that pressure. I do think we're going to get AD Kaisa on the bot side. They have more of an ability to look for 5v5. I think they could play through Jojo, but a top lane pairing is still really strong. At the end of the day, it comes down to execution for me. I think the drafts were fine in both games, but EG really failed to execute on top side of the map. And if you're going to go Sejuani Jax, when you are playing together, you have to be on the same page. You really have to execute to try to create those advantages so Revenge can play through side lane, because when I look at TL, they are purely a 5v5 style of composition. So if Jackson get ahead, that can really make things difficult, really fine, great engage opportunities generally. It's pretty easy to actually deny that, but they don't necessarily have to find those hard engages. They can look to poke, to prod. As long as they have push, they are going to be in a pretty good spot.
And I think that makes the early game even more important for Team Liquid. This team composition from ahead is devastatingly powerful, but from behind becomes very...
For what probably won't be a whole lot here at level 1, we're going to toss things over to Emily, standing by this time with EG coach Kelsey Moser.
We're going to keep our eyes on it, but one thing I did want to ask was the Ziggs coming out of TL, because you are a team that has left it open twice now in draft, where all their teams have kind of been banning it first rotation. So talk to me about this comp that TL has put together and how confident you are going up against it.
And I think there was nothing that they picked that we didn't really predict. So we had a scenario where we were comfortable with the champs we had. I think our comp has decent kiting versus Taric, etc. But what I really want to ask you, Emily, is in this special episode of Making the Rounds, who makes it to top 4 here?
Ooh, so I actually chose you guys.
Oh, nice.
In a really big slobber knocker 3-2.
How do you feel about that after the first game?
Not so confident, to be honest.
Okay, well, we lose big or we win big.
Yeah, this is true.
We do one of these. So
it was also execution.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Thank you for turning this interview on its head. This is fun. It's always great.
It's more fun for me because I don't really like to talk about my thought process behind drafts, so this is a lot better.
All right, we'll let the casters fill in and see what they have to say about the draft further and the game.
I thought that was going to be a coach interview. It was actually an Emily interview.
Kelsey Moser.
We went to Kelsey Moser on the sideline for an Emily Rand interview.
She just suplexed the interview. That was sick.
No one's ever done that.
Also, for those of you
in the
who don't
history
know,
of Dota.
Emily and Kelsey used to do an old LPL podcast called Making the Rounds, so that was the shout out during that coach interview, as they've both taken on different roles in recent years.
Yeon ready to jump in there, point blank range with the Bastion attached to him to deliver the dazzle. I always like seeing them use that sort of a pairing aggressively, and you talk about it a lot, Isaac, when it comes to Taric, is just being able to use the ult aggressively. But honestly, if you have anybody on your team that can position that dazzle in a good spot for you, just watching Taric play aggressive in general is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and adding hard CC to champions that don't normally have it can create these really unique situations, like Tristana jumping in. Not Tristana's jumping in, but Tristana's jumping in with a stun. You can't really turn. So I do think it can be quite powerful. You do have a really good push with this 2v2 as well, as that's what they're obviously trying to do. Just shove in EG here, try to deny as much of the CS as possible, try to work away on these turret plates. We'll see what EG's answer is going to be.
Yeah, and speaking of EG's answer more holistically for the game, Game 1 went so poorly around top lane, and I really don't think they need to try hard to rectify that. I would actually like to see them play more around bottom lane. It was largely ignored last game. I think if you let Taric have an easy laning phase, build tier, start stacking objectives, the game just becomes really hard. So whether it's bot or mid to bot, that's where I think EG can find success in this game. They need the Kaisa to be strong, so when they get those engages, she can just fly in and clean up the fight, because if they don't have the power to make those snap engages against this Taric alt poke team, I don't think they have a chance.
And you can see Pyosik already trying to get ahead of that a little bit, pathing through the bottom side of the map, putting down some vision, securing the Scuttle Crab. He knows how pushed up his own bottom lane is and wants to protect him from any extra attention heading their way from EG.
So Yeon was the one who paused.
It looks like his keyboard's too far away from his hands.
You think that was the issue? Sorry, guys. It just hit me. I've been playing League of Legends wrong for all these years.
So big.
I'm actually a big fan of having my keyboard way back, almost under my monitor.
For the straight arm?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably easier on your elbow long term.
It feels more comfy.
How big is your desk?
Not that big. But it's like, you know, if you look at the desk list in front of us, if you have them, exactly like that, you have the monitor at the back of the desk, and then you put the keyboard way back there.
Dude, I have one of those $10 IKEA desks that's just like...
Still?
Yeah. No, dude, that's a $10 like flat pice of fake wood.
Mean that
$5 for each.
Doesn't have depth.
Yeah, it does. It's $10. It's not big. Like, I'm like, we're back. I don't think I have
Maybe you
enough
need to
room for
upgrade to the $20 version.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should finally splurge on
or
the $20
just buy two
desk.
of the $10 ones and put them back.
Put them together.
Yeah.
Super desk.
Yeah, super desk.
My whole desk setup is IKEA, but that can add up real quick. Like, there's so many add-ons you can have. I shouldn't be talking about that.
Yeah, ganks can add up real quick, too. Summit's going to get dove its first blood over to Evil Geniuses, this time getting paid in top lane.
That's actually massive. I'm sorry about the IKEA tangent. This was Sheiden using his flash, but they actually pulled it off this time. Like, the amount of resources they put up there last game to miss and miss and miss and miss is just an unbelievably better start for Revenge. Not only in the game, because he only just has one assist, and ultimately that's not going to give him a huge amount of gold, but just the mental edge that, like, okay, we can actually kill Summit this game. Today is a new day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see, is Revenge going to TP back, or is he just going to hold the TP and walk? He's waiting, so he's going to TP back. And that is, you know, it's big, right? You know, if you can hold even and just not be getting punished early on in the game as Jax, you're generally feeling really good about your chances to scale up and put yourself into a good position. APA, we didn't get to talk about it, but he did the Sapphire Crystal start, so went for the Mana Crystal start, went for Futures Market, and has a super early Lost Chapter here as a result, so he's just going to TP back to lane, gets the Darksteel, and he's just going to try to non-stop shove Jojo in through mid lane and make that a non-interactive lane.
And you can see Jojo's first purchase, the tier 2 boots, Ionian Boots of Lucidity, to make sure that he just has extra power to sidestep away from those bombs and avoid some of that damage that APA is going to be spamming out. Sheiden waiting around here in the brush for the ward like we did see him, as Team Liquid is taking the opportunity to do the Drake. They know that Shaiden's on this ward. They know that he's not going to be able to interfere with this objective take on the other side of the map, so they can pick this one up for free.
Jatt's working on shapes there.
That was a circle and a check mark.
That was not a circle, that was a spiral.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, it kept going,
camera moves.
you know? Yeah.
It seems like EG's first gank top lane was good. The second one, a huge waste of time and cost them Dragon, right? We'll see if they end up making this dive happen, but Summit's level 6 now. He's a really tough guy to dive.
Yeah, Ksante at level 6 near a turret.
I think he's dead if you can get the wave in, but I don't think they can get the wave in until Jojo's there.
Yeah.
Summit should die. Sheiden just needs to start it, and Summit should die.
Well, Summit's immediately just going all out. Revenge is brought back underneath the turret.
No,
what
dude.
was he doing?
And now Shaiden's going down a bit.
Yeah, I'm expecting him to kill
God.
Summit. No, they don't even get him.
Dead.
They don't even get him. It's going to happen again.
FF.
Summit's charging up the Intofo strikes. Shaiden's going to try to walk through the turret. Pyosik locks down the enemy jungler. Summit picks it up. Evil Geniuses, what are you doing?
Oh my god, Summit just made fools out of them. I mean, that is a 3v1. That should be a guaranteed kill. Only way it can go bad is walking too far forward and getting pulled into a tower like that, and Revenge.
What? Pyosik with the Hex Flash over the wall, shattering strike through the gut. Jojo fall. Are Evil Geniuses just boomed? What is happening?
I think that has got to be mental boom, if anything, after that. I mean, you are down nearly 2K. It's 7 minutes in. I think that is a total collapse for EG.
Yep.
They bungled this play absolutely. Summit was already 6. You didn't even jump on him and he leveled up. You see he's 6. You jump past the minions.
Man.
Like that is an int. That is a total int.
Well, then Sheiden walks in a split second before the minion wave, so the turret heats up. So when Jojo hits him, the turret does more damage to Jojo. So then Jojo's too low for the follow-up by Pyosik. He also takes a greedy recall that Pyosik predicts. This was about 6 things consecutively that went wrong for EG and went right for TL.
I mean, it just seemed like Revenge got so impatient because he couldn't get the wave in. And good predict there from Pyosik, because you Hex Flash over the wall, he's not there. It's not a big deal. Jojo was also totally So there's no punish. He didn't even have mana to ult. You can see how happy Rainover is there. I mean, it's just an absolute disaster for EG. That's the kind of play that if you're playing solo queue, 2 people on your team went AFK after that.
Yeah.
Like that is absolute mental boom.
This whole team comp is, they need to be ahead, and then Ziggs and Tristana can just poke at turrets. That gives them that. They can't go back for Summit anymore, and the Tristana Ziggs can just wave clear to their heart's content. They already have the first Drake as well. Team Liquid, that is such a dream early game start, because it's not like they had this master plan to get Summit ahead. That was 3 people running face first into him and him hitting back.
After he got first blooded, right? Like this should have been the snowball.
It was a catastrophe for the top side of the map, but now we got 2 different fights starting off at the same time. Pyosik engaging in the top side of the river as Unforgiven has to disengage in bot. Sheiden taken out by Pyosik as Eyla and Unforgiven barely walk away back underneath their turret. Revenge looking to find something here, but Summit takes him back over the wall. The All Out has found the enemy top laner, and now he's going back for Jojo too. Evil geniuses can't keep up, and Team Liquid gets more kills.
TL wipe them off the map, and it feels pretty early to call, but this one's starting to feel like a 2-0 already, 6-1. It is a 3.5k gold lead here, not even 9 minutes in. 2 plates already taken mid, and they get the Herald. So tier 1 mid is just dead to a Satchel plus the Herald. TL are crushing them. Jojo tries to go for the big play with the Charm Flash, but misses completely on APA. Predicting where he was, he didn't have vision on him in that brush. Reads wrong, and then they try to just continue forcing forward here.
Yeah, and at this point, you just need to admit the fight is lost. But they fly in more to try and finish off APA, give up 3 deaths instead of 2, and this is just all going towards Team Liquid. I think it's a combination of TL playing very well in these skirmishes and EG just playing too fast. They're trying to force when they really need to be patient, and now they may not have a choice either way.
Herald charges in, Satchel goes off, 5,000 gold lead at 9.5 minutes into the game for TL. And the Rift Herald even completes the charge onto the tier 2 to add insult to injury.
I mean, just look at the items in the soul lanes. Like, that alone is crazy, but really the whole top side of the map has massive advantages at this point. There's 2k in pocket for Pyosik, so he basically has his mythic as well. You know, 3 mythics completed on the top side as soon as Pyosik goes back to base, so EG has really nothing going, and AD Kaisa is not going to make it happen. He's down 20 CS on the bot side as well, and they lost the plate. So EG feeling like they are almost completely out of this one. We'll see if they can find some really good engages to try to pull things back, but it's going to be tough, and you have to wonder, you know, where they are mentally after this game just being an absolute disaster this early on.
It's level 9 to level 7 in the top lane. Revenge got first blood back earlier on, or at least the assist on first blood. It's at least here in the bottom lane they got something. Sheiden going to pick up the kill on Yeon there. They would have liked to put the money on Unforgiven, but they just have to
that was foolish from Yeon though. Yeon had him on a ward the whole time, walked up to him to emote on him, and maybe getting a little bit too big for your britches there. Getting a little bit cocky, thought he could get the timing on that rocket jump. Mistimed it, got knocked out of the rocket jump, and gives over a free kill, plus now gives over the dragon. So definitely careless there from Yeon. They are massively ahead, but those are the kind of plays that could get EG back in it.
Yeah, bit of a gift. As 2v4 for Pyosik and CoreJJ. There's no damage here. He goes over the wall and he gets it. Are you kidding me? Pyosik steals away the Drake. Goes over the wall. Yeah, he's gonna die for it, but he'll ride that metal horse to Valhalla, proud as hell. You'll take that trade.
He's absolutely trolling. Like, that is, he has a bounty. Like, if there's ever a way for EG to get back in the game, it's to try a flash Dragon Steel, but the mental edge.
the mental edge
is so high. It's unbelievable.
He knows what the win con is. The win con is mental. That's what he's playing for. If they can just keep this going, stop EG from recovering any sense of morale, you snowball this into a 3-0.
And Revenge died again, by the way, so you know it is going to be incredibly
He was just
tough.
Looking at the dragon, and he just lost the mental edge, and he just instantly died. Like, as soon as that dragon stole, there's nothing he could have done to stay alive.
I'm telling you. All right, let's see what happened topside to Revenge when the dragon got stolen. Yeah,
it's just the satchel into the Q3, into the ulti, you know, pulled him back. Just good setup from APA. They didn't even need the damage of the ult there. Revenge, easy kill. And then so many people from EG went over the wall, but it's going to be Revenge dying again.
Summit.
Oh my God. Woo! For bot, they get another freebie. And I do think they are playing for mental advantage. I'm not kidding. I think you go at Revenge. You know he made a massive mistake on top side after he got picked, after they're playing towards him multiple games in a row. and they're just preying on him. They're feeding on revenge in the top lane.
And they're also feeding on him so that APA can feed off turrets, because they got the turret top after the kill, and they're likely to get this bottom turret. This is a 15-plater for Team Liquid at 13 minutes. Unbelievable early game.
Holy cow, man. APA throws down the satchel. Kaboom! Even letting the turret clear out the last couple of minions before he sends it down. 6,500 gold lead, 13 minutes into the game. There have been 3 plates taken by EG. 2 up there in the top lane before everything went south, and then 1 down on bottom side.
To put it into kind of perspective here, Revenge has 3,700 gold right now. APA has 7,000.
Hold on, Summit's going in. The all-out immediately wanting to commit here on Jojo. Forces Spirit Rush and the Flash to get away. Summit using his own Flash to try to find that one, man. This is an absolute nightmare for EG.
I mean, just look at the gold difference between the solo laners, right? It's ridiculous. It's, you know, about 3,000 in top lane, and he's almost doubling him, right? Because Revenge doesn't even have 4K. Summit's up at about 7, and it's still a good 2,300 gold lead in mid lane as well. So EG, their solo laners are completely out of it.
Isn't it crazy that APA has less CS and 4 fewer kills, but more gold? Because he's a plate hoarder.
Yeah, I mean, that's what getting ahead on Ziggs will do for you. You just take every turret on the map. And Herald is such a big deal with Ziggs, because Herald plus Satchel is just a tower pretty much. If
I mean, even this, it's just like the Tristana hits it, Ziggs passive, and then Ziggs W, and they can take it.
Yep, instant.
It's gone. TP's coming in, though. EG wants to try to collapse on these guys. Summit is not here. He's having to walk over from mid lane. CoreJJ popping the stasis, making sure they can't engage on him. Shaiden's at about half HP. Mega Inferno Bomb connects on 3 targets as Yeon Rocket jumps over the wall. Having to pop the cleanse there. Needs to make sure he doesn't get caught as EG retreats. Team Liquid's not going to get any kills, but EG, I understand they're trying to make some sort of a move when Summit ain't there, but they're just so far behind.
I mean, I think when you're this far behind, honestly, all you can do is this. You just fight until you lose the game, or you know, you make enough plays happen that you can slowly kind of crawl your way back in, because playing slow from this far down, there's no way you're going to win, right? You need a miracle at this point. They know that they're that far behind, so I think all we're going to see EG do is anytime they see someone, see champion, kill champion. Just try over and over and hope that something happens.
Summit is going to be a difficult guy to kill at any point, for any reason. Eyla tries to get away here. Battle dance to get back to his own mid laner. Grand entrance for a grand escape. Evil Geniuses, they're going to get out of that one with nobody dying, but man, it's so dangerous. Any brush you walk up to could be your last.
What a nightmare start for EG in this game. Like, thinking about their series last week against Cloud9, they had Cloud Soul and about a 5,000 goal lead in game 1 against C9, lost a 33-minute team fight, lost that game. Down 0-2, they were up again about 3,000 gold, lost some close team fights against C9. Berserker got 2 fed, they lose. And then here, it's really just been failed attempts at killing Summit. And it's just got increasingly more and more out of control. They have had now, this is going on 5th stage game in a row where nothing is clicked for them, right? So in terms of their confidence and their ability to actually execute in these high pressure situations, it really feels like it's getting lower and lower, because EG was deservedly, I think, the 3rd seed in the regular season. But right now, they're just in such a tailspin that it looks very difficult to recover from.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, assuming this game goes the way that it's looking, they are 1 game away from being eliminated right after thinking for sure they would be going to Worlds, after feeling confident that they could actually win the championship. You know, they spoke pretty confidently about that. So it definitely has to be really tough. I think if they do lose this game, I think they make a jungle swap, not because Shaiden's done anything particularly wrong, but just because you need some sort of reset to be like, okay, guys, we're shaking it up, you know, because everything has just been so catastrophically bad for EG across these 2 first games.
It's Soul Point at 16.5 minutes for Team Liquid now, and it is a Hex Soul, so things are going to go from bad to worse unless something absolutely unexpected happens here soon. You can see the items completed. Void Staff is already all the way done for APA Ziggs. He's got that paired with the Ludens, Sork Shoes, plus the stopwatch in the inventory. Engaging on this guy is completely impossible. CoreJJ going to get caught out a little bit here. Loses about 1/3 of the HP. Sheiden with a bit more CC over the wall isn't going to be enough to stop TL
Summit
yet. Summit's coming around from the side. Sheiden goes through the Hex Gate, and Ksante ready and waiting. He's got the angle to just ult him back over the wall. Sejuani goes down, and Team Liquid's up 9-3.
See, that when Hex Gates first got introduced, I thought we'd see more of that, right? We really just haven't seen it that much, but here we go.
Yeah, nicely done. Good play there from Summit. catches out Sheiden. And when you see him die in the Bear pit, you want to be like, oh, well, they're this far ahead. It's time for Baron. And he realizes, oh, we're 17 minutes in. They're just actually 10K up.
It might be time for a really deep push because they have Herald, Trist, Ziggs. So let's see how many turrets they can get.
They can easily go for the second. They can go for the inhibitor tower if they want it.
They
At this
probably
point,
should.
I don't even know if they want the inhibitor. I think you take the tower and then you maybe leave it alive, but we'll see what EG does. They are going to at least give up the charge.
Yeah, the charge goes in. Satchel's already down. Sheiden getting away with the flash as Revenge is ready for an engage. CoreJJ at about 1/3 HP. Revenge with a flash stun for the counter-strike, and Unforgiven's going to grab the kill on Core. Shaiden's low, but he ain't dead yet. Jojo's joined from behind the fight as Eyla and Sheiden have to disengage, and Yeon's down to 200 HP, but Summit jumps in to keep him alive. Yeon gets the kill back on Unforgiven, and now he's barely escaping off away. Jojo wants to finish off APA, but he can't quite find the damage. Ayla's low. Pyosik's keeping everybody else zoned out. Jojo's still looking for APA here in the back. He's going to find him. Revenge, Eyla, Sheiden, and Jojo all still alive. Yeon's got 200 HP, and Jojo wants to get rid of it. Let's see if Pyosik can provide the peel. Yeon's just running and running and running and running and running and running and running, and Revenge is running and running and running and running and running right after him. Jojo with Everfrost locking down Summit and Pyosik, who flashes over the wall with a shattering strike. Jojo tries his hardest to get away, but he won't be able to do it. Yeon stays alive from Core with the razzle dazzle, but Revenge finally gets the kill that he came for. There's another stun coming out from Core, trying to keep Revenge off of him. Counter-strike's ready to go. Revenge not going to find the stun on that one. Core still running and running and running away. The dazzle ain't going to stun him. The Mega Inferno Bomb hits Revenge to take him low. Hex flash over the wall from Pyosik. Shattering strike for the stun. Aftershock finds a little bit more damage, but Revenge might just be able to duel him unless APA makes his way over. Meanwhile, Summit's in a 1v3. He's trying to find a couple more in Tofo strikes. He picks up the kill on the jungler. The support's trying to get away as APA teleports into the backside of the fight, making sure he cuts off the escape route. APA is going to take out Eyla, and it's finally done.
It's a slaughter, man. TL are able to get those kills back at the end. EG did find about the best fight they're going to find, I think, in this game. Found a pretty good engage, got some kills, of course, did go for that long chase, trying to get everyone, trying to see if they can make something happen as Revenge got in the back line. Unforgiven was able to follow up, and they had a really good start to this, but that Taric ult created so much time that it made it so it wasn't just them getting completely run over.
It's still such a great fight for them to find. That was the one window that TL basically gave them in the last 5 minutes. It gave them a chance at shutdown gold. Like, I still think there's basically no way EG can win this.
Hold on, we already got a fight. Pyosik's coming in with a Magnet Storm, and Revenge is having to jump back over the wall to try to get away, but Yeon's ready to follow and take him down. Summon in a 1v3 off to the side as the other two evil geniuses have already died. Jojo falls next. Double kill back over to Yeon. Unforgiven and Eyla on full retreat as Yeon's in hot pursuit. They're going to take out another killing spree for APA. The top lane is already open. I think it might be a 20-minute GG.
It's looking like it. They're TPing in. TL looking to send it to match point at only 20 minutes.
It's just a Rakan versus all of TL. Yeon finds his 200th career kill in the LCS, as these turrets will not last against Trist and Ziggs. Shaiden's back alive, but there's still not a whole lot of damage to try to defend these Nexus turrets with. Team Liquid continuing the push. They're putting the auto attacks into the Nexus, but they don't have it down just yet. Ayla's taken low, and Pyosik's grabbing another kill. They're going to grab one more on their way out. It's 19-7. It's a 21-minute win for Team Liquid.
Total domination in this game, and it was like an accelerated version of game one, where top lane just wasn't it for EG. They got a little bit baited when they got the first blood onto Summit, and you thought, oh, here we go, the league leader in ISO deaths, let's keep going back to that fountain. It was dried up because Summit completely turned it around. EG absolutely misplayed some of those dives top lane, but in an even worse fashion, and they look wrecked after that loss.
I mean, that death from Revenge, when they have a 3v1